Last time on the breakdown, we saw Phil Ivey making what we thought was a pretty big mistake. Not everybody maybe agrees with that.
No.
Anyway, this is the you comment, we respond on that video. If you want to see that video before watching this, which you should, click right up there, then come right on back here for the comments.
Yep, and just so you know, these are the four favorite comments we're going to comment on. There's 4 more comments we did in our podcast. So look for that as well if you want even more you comment, we respond. It's like bonus material.
Exciting stuff.
DVD extras. All right.
Nobody uses DVDs anymore.
Blu-ray extras. Streaming extras. Don't leave me alone. No. All right. Here we go. Bill Esquire. No, we're doing, yeah, fine. Bill Esquire. You two have to be the biggest dip squits, can't swear on YouTube, for calling this Phil Ivey's biggest mistake. To have audacity, I like that.
That's a sound program that we do have. We use it to make podcasts.
We absolutely do have audacity. Yeah. To have audacity to sit there and judge the best player in the world when at best you guys are good at memorizing poker charts and following a mediocre poker game / lifestyle. I like that.
/ lifestyle.
Commenting on the lifestyle strong.
Our lifestyle is mediocre at best.
Poker is a multifaceted game and is played on way more levels than your one-sided, retarded analysis. Every hand in poker...
I like how you said that.
Thank you. Every hand in poker is different because the numerous variables change hand to hand. You can't sit there and say this was a mistake because it doesn't fall into your narrow understanding of the game. Yeah, you can probably grind out your low-stakes games and feel good about yourself, but you'll never even be close to great with that kind of analysis. This is by far one of Ivey's best hands seen on TV. To say otherwise is a testament to your flamboyant arrogance and outright ignorance.
I don't know if there's really much to say
I
here.
love that so much.
It's a great comment. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate your perspective. We tend to disagree. And guess who else tends to disagree? Phil Ivey.
Yeah.
Phil Ivey clearly doesn't think he played this hand very well. Just watch the video again and take a look at Phil. Yeah. See how Phil acts once Howard moves in. Phil thinks he's a big dummy for doing what he did.
Yeah.
It's not just us. It's Phil Ivey who also thinks this.
When Phil calls 5 minutes after Howard moves in, because Phil is taking so long because he feels like he's put himself in such a ridiculous position, he says, this is so effing ridiculous. Here, take it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, it's not because he's making a good call and Phil doesn't think he's making a good call.
Right.
But I appreciate you saying, this isn't even going the other way. Like, it's a post-truth world, I guess. This is Ivey's best hands. Like, wow. That's strong.
Ivey disagrees. I'll tell you that much.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
Wickensworth says, I'm not buying letterer's goatee. That's the facial hair of a man who has no chin definition or multiple cascading chins. He's trying to sculpt a chin out of facial hair to show chin strength, which basic psychology tells us means he actually has a weak chin or an unsightly pile of flaccid jowls, making this an easy snap call.
I really like that.
That's strong.
Let's our dad to that. Howard Letter, okay, we got a couple comments that were like, why is we got one comment that said, why is everybody so mean to Howard Letter? He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
The answer would be Google him,
yes,
I think.
That's
the answer. But this is a great comment because I wouldn't think it was a great comment if it was about a really nice guy.
Right.
But because it's about Howard Letter, we can have a little fun with it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Alex Kloss says, without the verbal tell, I think this is one of the worst calls Phil Ivey has made. In general, it's better to confirm reads through verbal tells instead of making reads based on tells. I like that.
That's very true, yeah.
So the only hands he can beat are essentially the king high and nut flush draws. Can this possibly be profitable without the tell?
It's tough to say, but I don't think so. Ivey's lucky that he shared the 8 with Letterer. That made it so that Ivey was a slight favorite. Against almost all of Letterer's range, Ivey's either a huge dog or a slight dog.
Yeah.
Which means he shouldn't have raised in the first place. It's not a spot where you want to call, but once you raise, you kind of have to. That's why it's a huge mistake.
Right, and that's why we talked about in the video having a plan. So if you raise with the plan of calling the all-in, it's fine to raise.
Yeah.
But if you raise without any sense of what am I going to do if he shoves, that's problematic.
That's a big problem. And I really do like that point that you liked as well, saying that it's good to use tells to confirm other reads rather than to make the read from. Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Once in a while, a tell will absolutely be enough to make a read on, for sure. But a lot of the time, it's more the other way.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely.
Here's Eris Winger, kind of completely disagreeing with what we just said.
Okay.
Kind of neat. Just because he hesitates doesn't mean he didn't have a plan.
Okay.
Uncertainty can be part of a plan. This is kind of neat.
Okay.
It definitely looks like he was going to raise Howard believing Howard was going to continuation bet with almost anything. So his plan could easily be, quote, this board doesn't connect with a lot of Howard's raising range, so I can re-raise and take it. If Howard moves in, then I know that most of the time I am beat, but I know that there is some small percentage of the time when he does this with a flush draw or overs, and I'll have to see if I can get a read or other information to try and figure that out, end quote. And that is exactly what he does, as you noted. He detects a weak attempt at showing strength and makes the right call. Quote, if he continuation bets, I will re-raise as he doesn't have it a lot of the time. If he re-raises me, I will fold most of the time unless I can convince myself that he's semi-bluffing, end quote. That is exactly what he did. Sounds like a plan, right?
There's definitely some really cool stuff in that comment that I do agree with. There's one crucial crux in this comment that I have to point out and really kind of ruins the whole comment.
I know.
Why do you want to raise and take it? Oh. You have to ask yourself this question.
I was going to go with a completely different thing.
Okay, well, let's start with this one. Why would you want to raise and take it? Yeah. You're saying as Ivey, you're thinking, I want to raise and take it. That means Howard has a worse hand than you almost entirely all of the time, because I don't think Howard's ever folding a better hand. Is Howard folding a better 4? Probably not.
No, he's not folding 5s or 6s either.
So you're not raising to bluff, you're just raising to end the hand with a hand of medium strength value. It doesn't really make that much sense.
Agreed. Secondarily, I actually want to say, you make it sound like Phil got the tell from Howard and then called, but that's not what happened.
True.
Howard said the thing, Phil picked up on it, we highlighted it in the video. Yeah. Then Phil tanks for like another 3 minutes, complains the whole time, says I don't care, and throws his chips in and says how ridiculous it is that he's making this play and it's the worst call in the history of the world. That's not a plan. That's a guy who doesn't care that much about the 120,000, wants to get it over with, and feels like, yeah, I'm sort of pot committed now, I guess, I don't know what I'm doing, fine. That is, Phil Ivey makes a lot of amazing plays and is possibly the very best player in the entire world. But not in this moment. And Phil would agree with us. Watch his face. Listen to what he's saying.
Yeah. Although I do think there are a lot of cool things in Aris's comment. I really do like bringing up that Phil can then adjust because he's Phil Ivey. So he gets to make some gameplay mistakes because he's so good.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He can figure it out.
Right.
That's fair. That said, it's still, he doesn't have a plan. Let's not say he has a plan because he's Phil Ivey.
Right.
If Darvin Moon did this, we would say, yeah, Darvin Moon's terrible. We all knew Darvin Moon was terrible.
Right.
This is obviously what Darvin Moon does because Darvin Moon is terrible.
I mean,
this is Phil Ivey.
Does Phil really think I'm just always going to get a read off of Howard?
Yeah,
I have a perfect read on Howard. If he thought he had a perfect read on Howard, he would not look like, oh God, I call.
Yeah.
Be like, I call. Yeah. But that's what people do when look. I'm just thinking. I always go to Yevgeny Timoshenko in a hand where he had top pair and he raised the turn, got 3-bet and called. And then the guy bets the river. This is in the World Series main event. And Yevgeny looks for a little bit and calls. He doesn't hurt him. He doesn't hurl insults at himself. He's playing poker. He's a professional. He's making his best read as possible and makes the call. And that's what Phil Ivey does all the time. Right. Just not here, not in this hand.
Not this time.
Yeah.
He's a hero to many, including us, which is why it's hard to say that he made a mistake, but he clearly did.
Yeah. We're not saying we're better than Phil.
No, not at all.
We're saying Phil made a mistake. It's okay. People make mistakes. Yeah. Even Phil.
Yep.